All right, everybody. How is everyone's night going? My name is Adrian Carmona, and I am glad to be joining you all once again for another edition of the Varsity National Live postgame show. My name is Adrian Carmona, and I'm very excited to be hosting this. We have a lot of great stuff for you tonight, a lot of recaps of games from all throughout the country, from Philadelphia, Indiana, um, and Florida, like myself, where I'm from. Um, So once again, very packed show tonight. Um, Once our guests join, we will be covering the post game reports throughout all the country, and yeah, I'm just very excited to share with you all what's going on. High school sports going on right now, of course. So we had some college games go on tonight. Duke just defeated FSU for the first time in the school's history. They were 0-22 before tonight, and they just eked out a win, 23-16. Um, and also Oregon, once again, number two ranked team in the country, just dominated Purdue like normal. Um, and with that, I'll just start off myself with some of the Florida sports that just went on. Um, so there were a lot of like really close games this weekend. A lot of teams just taking care of business. Columbus lost to number 19 Northwestern 23-18. Northwestern, coached by former NFL quarterback Teddy Bridgewater, they got the win there. Um, in addition, American Heritage, they defeated American Heritage in Norland actually played earlier this week on Monday. Um, they played on Monday and then went back right back into action this Friday. Um, right back in action this Friday, and they played different teams. American Heritage defeated number 9. They defeated Archbishop McCarthy. Um, and then number 6 Central and number 7 Norland played a very great game. American Heritage won. Central won 22-14. And it was actually a really big game too because Norland beat Central last year in the 2M regional finals. Um, so Central got some revenge right there. Their quarterback for Central, Anthony McQueen, had a great game. He was really a bright spot for them. Um, and Anwar Yapur also had a great game for Norland, but unfortunately, it did not result in a win. He was very dominant throughout the ground and the air. Um, but yeah, it just wasn't enough. Um, to get the win. Wasn't enough to get the win, but it was a great game nonetheless. Central's defense is also kind of the highlight. They were really just suffocating Norland the entire time. Despite the score, it was a dominant. They kind of won handedly at the end. Norland kind of just got a last second touchdown to the end. Central's defense did get a safety, so that was really the key in that game. Um, and for everything else, number 4 Venice and number 14 Clearwater Central Catholic also played. Number 4 Venice did come out with the win there, so a lot of ranked matchups we had this weekend. Other quick ones. Number 2 Chaminade destroyed Avant-Garde Academy 56-0. Absolute domination there. St. Thomas Aquinas, number 5, took care of business against Monarch 44-6. Number 11 Coco, another blowout over the Villages Charter 54-0. Um, and yeah, overall, just very, very dominant wins throughout throughout the entire state of Florida. Florida, these rankings have been very these ranked teams and their matchups have been very important for playoff implications. A lot of crazy things going on within these games. Um, Honestly, Florida is just such a crazy state for football in general, and when you have these top ranked teams going at it with each other, um, it really just, it's a great atmosphere, and it provides for a lot of very interesting games. So right now we're actually going to be joined by one of our very first guests. Um, Jameer Johnson is going to be giving us his post game report from the state of Indiana. Jameer, how's it going?
Good. How you doing today?
Doing great.
Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yep, I can hear and see you.
All right, all right. Thank you for having me. So I'm Jameer Johnson, reporting with ASU, Arizona State University, and reporting from Indianapolis. And today I'll be informing you on some of the top-ranked high school football games we had today. So today we had the number 2 ranked team from Indiana, the Lawrence North Wildcats, versus the number 13 ranked Pike Red Devils. So this game was hosted at Pike, and Pike has a 3-1 record for their home games. So Lawrence North and Pike, they both scored a rushing touchdown in the first quarter. But in the second quarter, Lawrence North scored a field goal and they made it 10-7 at the half. So Lawrence North scored 2 more touchdowns in the third quarter, and Pike scored one more in the fourth. But Lawrence North finished, and they kept pushing, and now they have a 9-0 record, and they won the game 24-14. So then we also had the number 5 ranked team, the Warren Central Warriors, versus the number 4 ranked Cathedral Fighting Irish. This game was at Warren Central, and they are 4-1 for their home game so far. So Cathedral, they scored the first points in the game with a 50-yard pick six, but then the next points they scored was a 60-yard pick six. It was wild. So they made it 14-0, but before halftime, Warren Central did get a rushing touchdown. So Cathedral got a field goal in the third quarter. Then in the fourth quarter, Warren Central scored twice, so they ended up taking the lead and they won the game 34-28, and they now have an 8-1 record. And lastly, we had the number 1 ranked team in Indiana, the Brownsburg Bulldogs, versus the number 9 ranked team, the Hamilton Southeastern Royals. So this was a home game for Hamilton Southeastern. There wasn't a lot of information on this game, but they were the number 1 ranked team, so I wanted to get a little bit of it. So at the halftime, Hamilton Southeastern, they kept Brownsburg scoreless. It was 17-0 at half, but in the third quarter, Brownsburg did score and they made it 23-7. So Hamilton Southeastern was up 23-7 at the end of the third quarter, but then in the fourth quarter, Brownsburg, they did end up scoring 2 more touchdowns, but Hamilton Southeastern, they scored another touchdown and they made it 30-23, and they diminished Brownsburg undefeated record of 8-0. Now they're 8-1.
Wow, a lot of stuff going on over there. Wow. Well, thank you, Jameer, for joining us again on another night. Always love having you on the show. Have a good night.
Appreciate you, Adrian. Get better, man. But you're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So thank you very much to Jameer. Uh, sorry. Very good. Big thanks to Jameer giving us that update on the Indiana high school football. Always love having him on the show. Um, I mean, other things going on right now. If you're watching the Yankees Guardians game, Guardians tied it up once again in the bottom of the eighth. Playoff baseball is just one of the greatest things you will ever witness in your lifetime. I am not even the biggest baseball fan, and I have been absolutely dialed in to these games because they have been absolutely a sight to behold every time. Mets also beat the Dodgers 12-6, forcing a game six. Um, to extend that series. And it's just honestly been very exciting to see. NHL also just about to start up. NBA is about to finish preseason. So I think it's really cool to see all of like the major sports, um, coming together at one point. This is going to be like the best, part of the year, end of fall when, baseball playoffs kicking off, NHL, NBA kicking off, midseason of the NFL. Um, so yeah, just a lot of great stuff going on. I don't think I said this earlier, but I am the correspondent for Florida from the University of Florida. So go Gators. Um, as we wait for the other guests, Florida Gators season has been very up and down. Just to get a little update on that. Recently, last week, we traveled to Knoxville to take on top 10 ranked Tennessee. Did not go the way expected, even though we did, go toe to toe with one of the best teams in the country at their home. There was a lot of chances to take the game, but unfortunately they did not happen. Defense played very well, had some turnovers. Graham Mertz, God bless, he ended up tearing his ACL on a certain drive, and a few plays after threw a touchdown. So he had torn his ACL and then ended up leading a touchdown drive on said torn ACL, but unfortunately had to be taken out of the game, and it has been revealed that he tore his ACL and will be out for the rest of the season, and which means that that was probably his last game as a Florida Gator, which is very, you hate to see him go out like that. He was the heart and soul, in my humble opinion, of this team. So once again, just very unfortunate to see that happen. We will see what true freshman DJ Lagway can do um, for the rest of the season. I mean, his debut against Samford was one to remember. He set the record at UF for most passing yards by a true freshman quarterback. Um, but yeah, it will be very interesting to see what he does with the reins, what Billy Napier does with him, because as we know, there has been a lot of questions about his future with the team. Um, I believe the rumor has been proven true that a bunch of donors have allocated enough money to cover his buyout should he be fired. Um, so in reality, it might not be a matter of if, it might just be a matter of when he gets fired at this point. Um, I mean, if we're also talking about Florida college football, Florida State lost to Duke at over there at North Carolina. They lost 23-16. It is the first time in the school's history that they lost to Duke. Um, pretty crazy to pretty crazy to see. Um, but yes, they did end up losing to Duke. They were starting Brock Glenn, who made his debut last year. Funny enough, against the Florida Gators. Um, made his debut last year with the Florida Gators after Jordan Travis and Tate Rodmaker both got injured against the Gators, and then Brock Glenn started against Louisville in that ACC championship game. Once again, another offensive performance to forget for Florida State. They just have not been able to get it going at all. Um, I mean, their only touchdown was from a kick return touchdown that they got at the beginning of the second half, but several turnovers in key moments, a pick six, a fumble late in the fourth to give Duke the ball again. And, we talked about Billy Napier possibly being on the hot seat. Mike Norvell is probably on the hot seat at this point, considering the expectations going into the season. All the talk about, sorry, how FSU would respond this year after being snubbed from the college football playoff last year and then losing in embarrassing fashion to Georgia after a lot of their players opted out. And it has been a season to forget. They are 1-6 for the first time since 1975. And it's honestly safe to assume that there may be talks about Mike Norvell's future after this season. And yeah, if you're just tuning in, I want to welcome you again to the Varsity National Live postgame show. We are giving you postgame updates from high school sports around the country. For me, from Florida, we had a lot of games go on, a lot of ranked matchups in the top 25 of the region of Florida. Um, a lot of teams taking care of business, but also we had some matchups between two top 10 teams going on. The biggest one, for sure, from the state of Florida was number 6 Central versus number 7 Norland. Very interesting, too. Number 7 Norland did actually play earlier this week. They started off their week on Monday as they played American Heritage at home, number 9 American Heritage, shall I add, on Monday. They ended up winning 32-27 to kick off this week of football. Um, Enio Yapor, Norland's quarterback, 2 games in 1 week, but he has been balling out as of recent, not only with his arm, but also with his legs. A classic dual threat quarterback, as we see. And it was just a very great game from both sides for American Heritage. Malachi Tony again, one of the best receivers in Florida right now. Um, and yeah, so it was just a fantastic game from both sides, close all the way through. Um, American Heritage actually did take the lead in the fourth quarter with 3 minutes left, thanks to a Diabell 67-yard rushing touchdown. That was absolutely electric. Then they kicked the point after to take the lead 27-26. Then there was one last drive for Norland to take this game. It started off very quickly with a Terrence Honeywood long run, ended up getting to American Heritage's 26-yard line, and then Yapur with the game-winning touchdown pass to Zaquan Wright for a touchdown to give them the 32-27 lead. They failed the two-point conversion, but the defense stood strong, and Norland got that win. Then they did play later in the week this past night. Um, they faced off against number 6 Central, and it was a very good matchup because these two teams did face last year in the 2M regional finals. Um, so a rematch of last year's playoff game. I mean, you know that both sides were going to be looking for something um, tonight. Those playoff matchups are always very hyped up, great atmosphere. Um, and yeah, Anthony McQueen for Central had a really good game himself, helping lead Central to that win. However, I think the big name of the game for Central's win was the defense. They really just held Norland in check from the jump. Even though they did score uh, 14 points, they really didn't score the last touchdown until closer to the end of the game. Um, and yeah, they ended up getting a safety actually. That seems to be like the difference of the game as we saw. Um, but yeah, it just once again a lot of crazy matchups. Sorry, got a little sick, but yeah, a lot of crazy matchups going on in the Florida area. As if you're just joining us now, we had Jameer um, joining us from Indiana, where he gave us some of the um, updates on Indiana football. And sorry, once again, um, feel a little sick from last year, but sorry from last week. I was dealing with a little sickness. That's why I was not able to join you guys. Also had a lot of predisposed um, obligations with my school. I was able to cover some stuff with the college, but once again, glad to be here. Um, and yeah, it's been once again a lot of crazy stuff going in Florida. Sorry to keep you guys waiting, but we are waiting for our last guest to join. Um, Other than that, for college football, Oregon went into Purdue and has just been completely dominating them from the jump. They're currently up 45 nothing, sorry, 35-0 against Purdue with 2 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Um, Other than that, BYU is also playing their at home, number 13 BYU at home against number 7 Oklahoma State. Um, doesn't seem like, I mean, it is a contest so far. BYU, Oklahoma State is driving down the field though. So that should be a good game. Um, sorry, and if you were here for our Varsity Live pregame show, um, we had a lot of great matchups there as well that we were highlighting. And if you did tune into that, I want to remind you to tune into our postgame show, which will be live at 10 o'clock p.m. for your guys' time if you're on the West Coast. For me, it'll be at 1 a.m. Awesome to hear, but I love staying up for football. It's the only thing I would stay up for. or any other sport for that matter. But yeah, if you were there for our pregame show, you can tune into our postgame show at 10 p.m., where we will be giving you the postgame report for all of the games we highlighted in that pregame show from Saguaro, Dobson, Horizon, Brophy, Mountain View, Nogales. Um, a lot of good games going on tonight, and we hope you are here to tune in for those post-game reports. With that, we are going to end it off here. Want to thank our guests for um, sorry, throat itching again. But once again, want to thank everyone for joining. My name is Adrian Carmona from the Varsity Sports Show. I hope you all have a good night. Thank you.